created CraignDave. Hidden across their various websites are these Omega symbols. Hunt down all 16, solve my challenges, and we can speak some more.
Hello and welcome back to another CraignDave Unscripted. So today we're going to revisit the Ministry of Silly Algorithms. Now, if you've been following us for a while, firstly, well done for sticking with us. But way back, I believe in episode 6, we introduced you to the CraignDave Ministry of Silly Algorithms. And we've had lots of entries since then. We've announced a couple of winners. But before we get into that, for those of you who are new and have, what are you guys talking about? Dave, give us a quick recap. What is the CraignDave Ministry of Silly Algorithms? How can you become a member?
Yeah, so the Ministry of Silly Algorithms is really just a light-hearted sort of nod at our own subject and what it means to be creating efficient and readable, maintainable code by doing the opposite. Okay, so in the first episode, we looked at sorting algorithms, and we all know that if you want to code a sensible sorting algorithm today, you're probably going to be using a quick sort or a merge sort. But it doesn't mean, of course, that other algorithms don't exist. And there are some very silly algorithms out there, like the BOGO sort and the BOZO sort that we looked at in episode 6, and we had a bit of fun with it. And having looked at those algorithms, we thought it would be amazing just to have a bit of fun, really, with the community, and challenge you to create your own silly algorithm. And so what qualifies to be a silly algorithm is that the code's got to run, it's got to do something, but it isn't necessarily doing it in the most efficient way. It probably isn't the solution to the problem. It works, but it's just not something that you would do. And in addition to that, of course, we want to make sure that the code causes you to scratch your head and think, what is this doing? And of course, it does that because we've got no comments. We haven't got sensible variable names, and our code is not very maintainable. So if you leave this code for any length of time, or you show another programmer, have a look at it, you immediately think, what is that code doing? And that is a good entry for the Ministry of Silly Algorithms.
Yeah, that's it. This code should fail all code reviews in a professional coding environment. I mean, yeah, that's it. All the things the teacher tells you should be doing is not what we want to see in your submission. So it's brilliant. So sorry, teachers up and down the country. Okay, so good. That's a nice recap. So we put it out there, and we've had loads of submissions. We've already announced a couple of winners, but it's been a while since we've brought anyone else in. So we've told you what it is, but why else should you enter? Well, for this reason alone, Dave. If we announce you as an official entrant onto the Ministry of Silly Algorithms, we will send you this exclusive official member of the Ministry of Silly Algorithms CraignDave mug. Woo. This mug cannot be obtained anywhere else. It's not available on our merch store. You only get this by being a member. Now we'll probably recap just the basic entry requirements at the end of the video, but let's just to dive straight in and have a look at our current existing scroll of honors. So yeah, it was back in episode 6 is when we launched it. I think it was a couple of weeks later when we announced our first 2 entries. So we had Kirsty, the Arc Rights program, and Nick, I remember that now, the CraignDave program. And I should point out, for those who don't remember, one of those is a student and one of those is a teacher. I mean, this is open to everyone. You're a lecturer at university that likes watching us in your spare time. Please submit an algorithm. But we have one more entry today, I believe, haven't we? One that really kind of sparked our interest. So I don't have a drum roll sound effect ready, but here we go. The next entry onto the scroll of honors and a proud member of the Ministry of Silly Algorithms is Charlie Jacobs. The program is called Spelling. You'll notice they're all Python files. That's one of our requirements, and we'll get onto those later. The programs have to be written in Python. So, Charlie, we're going to be contacting you after this video just to find out whether you be interested in us sending you a mug. But whether you want the mug or not, you are an official member now of the CraignDave Military Silly Algorithms. Well done, I think. Right. I think without further ado then, Dave, we should dive into this and have a look at his spelling program and why it was worthy of entry. Let's just
yeah, absolutely. Here we go then. So here's the code window, and hopefully it's just about readable for you. So a short algorithm, and that's again one of the things that we're looking for here. The comments that are at the top of the program are really just to remind me what this was about. Charlie himself didn't put those comments in there because
no, we don't want comments.
No, because of course we would frown upon such practices in the Ministry of Silly Algorithms. Of course. And we don't really want to see sensible variable names because that just makes the algorithm far too easy to understand and to maintain. So well done, Charlie. You've met the requirements that we're looking for here, and it's a Class A algorithm for the ministry. So let's give this a little bit of a run first and see what it actually does. Okay, so here we go. Run the code. Oh, I didn't think it was going to ever end then. So after many, many iterations, a random number of iterations, it finally concludes that HELLO is indeed the correct spelling of hello.
Hey!
Completely pointless. Right, let's give this another run. There we go.
That's a lot quicker.
And notice it's using lots of different permutations of the letters of the word hello before it stumbles across a correct one and then is able to evaluate that that is indeed what it should be. I just cannot see any purpose of this algorithm, and that is what makes it a shining star for the ministry. And of course, I should point out that one of the reasons why we're doing this, apart from just to have a little bit of fun and, you know, sort of rib ourselves on our own subject, it's also just a reflection that when you see questions in an exam, they often include these made up scenarios, and they often include sort of code snippets that in reality you're never going to use those. They're just there to you know, try and assess your knowledge and understanding of code. So we thought, well, what better than to encourage the community to create their own nonsense code as well. So should we have a look at this program then, Craig, and analyze what's going on? So we have got here a variable called the name, okay? And I like that variable name because although perhaps to be an entry of the ministry, it should just be a single letter. The name as sort of describes the fact that the variable is probably holding a name, and it isn't. So it's holding, you know, any word that you want, really.
I also like it. Well, what are you naming your variable? The name? Yep, that'll do. Fine.
Yes, absolutely right. So what we've got here is a list that is made up of strings. Each of those strings is a single character, and that's where we can see the word hello. Of course, that's not very useful for the future, because if you wanted to change the word that it's actually using, then this is hard coded into the program. There's no way that you could then change that unless you change this code, and you have to be very careful that you've got your string qualifiers, those little apostrophes, all in the right place. So there are better ways of doing that, even in the first command, which makes me smile. Okay, so we've then got an initial assignment of a variable just to make sure that the first iteration actually happens. We're importing the random number library so we can use random numbers. So while the output is not the word hello, we're going to continue to iterate over this algorithm, and we're going to output that what we've got is not the correct spelling of hello. We're then going to reset for this iteration what the name is. And I particularly like the fact that we duplicated a line of code here unnecessarily, I might add, but hey, that's all part of the spice. And then we're going to choose a random letter from that list that we've got there. We're then going to remove it from the list so that it can't be selected again. And we're going to set the character to be that letter. So we've selected one of the characters basically out of that list or to be used for our word that we're generating. We've then got a second iteration, and all this is doing is then selecting other letters that still remain in that list and concatenating them to our word that we're building up, which is called C, of course, for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
Okay. So another thing that's interesting about this algorithm is we do have quite a bit of code duplication here. As I've already said, we're duplicating the first line here, there. We are then duplicating these 3 lines in this loop inside this loop, which means that it probably isn't necessary. You know, you can do that in a much better way, but I've got to tip my hat to unnecessary and inefficient use of the processor there. Well done. And then eventually it arrives at the correct spelling, because the output that it's generated is going to equal the word hello, and then it's going to, of course, tell you that it's managed to find through randomly selecting letters the correct spelling of the word that was already hard-coded into the program, making this completely pointless.
Brilliant. I mean, yeah, that's it. I mean, if you're seeing this for the first time and thinking, I could do something more ridiculous than that, then put your money where your mouth is and let's see it. So, I mean, yeah, again, I mean, so well done to Charlie. So you're our latest winner. You joined Kirsty and Nick there, our scroll of honours. But to those of you who are watching this for the first time then, so you'll notice they're Python programs. That's one of our requirements. Just to keep things simple and fair, it must be a Python program, and we need you to send us the .py file. Beyond that, there's not an awful lot of restrictions, although we'd like you to, to keep it to sort of about visually on the screen, roughly a page or a code of less. We don't want to be scrolling through thousands of lines of code, and all the things that Dave has poked fun at today is what we're after. All those things your teacher tells you to do to write maintainable, robust, good reviewable code. We don't want any of those. So take out your comments, no sensible variable names, and and of course, as you said, Dave, it must actually compile and do something. At the point we get the file, we must be able to execute it and then go, okay, it's got some output. What's it actually doing? That's what we're after, and the sillier the better. If you do want to submit a program for future consideration, you just need to email us the py file at admin@CraignDave.co.uk. It's as simple as that. We can't promise to feature all of them, and just because we haven't so far doesn't mean we won't in the future. We'll come back to these videos. We've got lots of interesting submissions, some going back weeks and weeks. Just because we haven't featured you yet doesn't mean we won't. But if we do feature you on a video, you're automatically a member of the ministry, but we'll then reach back out to you to see if you are interested in a mug and just ask you for a few additional details so we can get that posted to you. One of our shorter videos, but quite fun. I like that one. I think definitely a deserved winner there, Charlie. Anything else you want to say?
It's also important that your program does have to be a legal program as well.
Yes.
Okay, it does have to be something I can execute on one of these videos. So if you've got copyrighted material, then we've got a little bit of a problem with that, because we're going to get copyright strikes on our channel if we're not careful. So let me just say I was very impressed with the Rick Astley program, and you know who you are if you wrote it, but I'm not sure I can legitimately show that, unfortunately, on an episode. So it was very impressive and I liked it a lot. I was slightly nervous of running it because I saw that it was going to do things to files, and that did make me think a little bit, what am I letting myself in for? But fantastic program, but it does have to be legal. We have to be able to run it. Okay, so a silly algorithm is not an illegal algorithm. Okay, no. So please don't be sending us any malicious code. That's not what this is about. Those aren't silly programs. Unfortunately, those are serious programs, and we don't like them. All right, so it has to be something very light-hearted, something to make us smile. Okay.
Yeah. No, brilliant. Well, I think we'll leave it there then. So again, once more, congratulations to Charlie. You joined Kirsty and Nick as a member of the Ministry of Silly Algorithms. We'll be in touch with you shortly after this video goes live, just to find out whether you'd like us to send you a mug. And to the rest of you out there, if you'd like to join these three and this very illustrious list of people, then get writing and submit your algorithm to admin@CraignDave.co.uk. Brilliant. Thank you, everyone. We'll catch you again next week for another Unscripted episode. Bye-bye.